Hello everyone. At Fairshare IT Services, we take timesheets very seriously. Now you would wonder why timesheets are taken so seriously. I think the reasons are very simple. We are in a service industry as well as we provide certain products. So just imagine for the time being that you are a client and then you go to buy a shirt, for example, and then you pay for the shirt, but you are not provided the shirt. You just come out without the shirt. Is that acceptable? Or let's say a plumber comes to your house and he charges you on a per hour basis, and then he doesn't do anything. He just comes in probably and then doesn't even take a look and goes out, but charges you. So would you like to pay for a product or service you did not buy or you did not use? You would be very upset about it, isn't it? So same way, if we put ourselves in the client's shoes, then you'll understand why we are so serious about keeping record of the timesheet. Now, similarly, let's say you are a seller, right? Let's think from the other point of view. You are a seller, not a donor. You got a proper shop. Somebody comes into your shop and then takes a product out, or he uses your services, but he doesn't pay you. Would you like that to happen? Absolutely not. So, if you think from both the point of view, unless and until we have that, fair deal, the things are not going to work out. There is going to be a lot of misunderstanding, isn't it? All right. So there are lots of things that are damaging from the service industry's point of view if the timesheet is not kept properly, right? For example, if you charge the client, you raise the invoice, and then you cannot show the proof of the efforts, like you have spent, for example, 10 hours and you charged that person X amount, and then if you cannot show the proof that this particular activity took you 10 hours, right, in details, then the client might think that you are a fraud. Similarly, if a proof is delayed, like for example, the client says that show me how you spend those 10 hours, and then you took your own sweet time to come back and show the proof, then also the client might think the same way, that you're probably making your timesheet up since I asked for it, right? Again, it's a fraud, right? Similarly, if you provide the timesheet in a timely manner, the number of hours and all is making sense, but it lacks the details. Like for example, when the client says, okay, tell me you're just written 1 hour for this particular activity, explain me that, right? So again, it seems like a fraud that you're putting in 1 hour, but you're not able to explain why it took you 1 hour. All right. So the same way, the client, you're having that misunderstanding with the client. The same way, you are damaging your company, right? Even if the client doesn't ask you for a proof, you're still damaging your company. How? Because if you're not showing the proof of the effort, or if you're not adding the time in your timesheet, then what happens is that maybe you are getting your salary, right? But then if that time is not charged to the client, how is company going to get paid for it? So company is not getting paid, but you are getting paid. So who is at loss? Your own company is at loss, right? Another way, you're delaying your timesheet by say 2 or 3 weeks, and in the meantime, your manager sends an invoice to the customer saying that it took X amount, but it did not include your time, right? You just thought that okay, you'll put the timesheet at the end of the month, but the invoice has already been sent, right? That invoice does not include your time, so it means that you are working, you are getting paid, but again the client, you're not able to change, the company is not able to charge your client, so you are damaging your company, right? Same way, let's say your proof is incorrect, in the sense that the time that you have entered is completely incorrect. You did not fill in the time properly, right? Let's say it took you 3 weeks to complete a website, but you only put in, 1.5 weeks of worth of your effort. Then what happens is that next time when your manager gives a quotation for a similar type of website to a client, he thinks that the website can be developed only in 1.5 weeks, right? Because that's what the historical data says, right? And then when he raises the quotation and then sends it to the client, it is completely wrong. The company is definitely going to be in loss when they try to make the similar website, because this time maybe you'll come and put in the 3 weeks as your timesheet. Then how do we justify that, right? Similarly, like if you are not putting in the timesheet and your manager notices it, you're wasting your manager's time. He has to go back and keep on asking you, did you fill in the timesheet? Why did you not fill in the timesheet? Then again explain you why it is serious to fill in your timesheet, right? It's completely waste of time. There is unnecessary friction between you and your manager for no reason at all. It's a simple instruction that you need to fill in the timesheet. All right. So I hope that because of these all these different types of reasoning that I'm giving you, from the client's point of view, from your manager's point of view, from your your own company's point of view, I hope that you understand why we are serious about the timesheet, right? But then how do we ensure that we get the timesheet right? I think the first and foremost thing is change in attitude, right? Nobody is a kid here, everybody is adult. We do not need reminders about how to behave in a company. So we need to act in a responsible way, that you have been instructed about doing something, you just follow it, right? Another thing is that the if you keep in a have a discipline that you, before you log out for the day, you make sure that the timesheet is entered. Otherwise you are not going to remember it, right? As I have been telling everyone, that if you cannot remember a simple instruction about filling in the timesheet on a daily basis, then after 3 weeks or 4 weeks, how are you going to remember that, about the details of each and every hour? You're not going to, it's going to be inaccurate if you delay it. So every day before you log out, fill in the timesheet, right? Also, if you do not put in enough details, if you just put in like a one word about what you did, and if that one word is not clear enough, then are you going to remember why you spend those 2 hours after, say, another 3 weeks or another 3 months? You are not going to remember that. So you need to change your attitude and make sure that you do this, right? Now, without attitude change, as I told you, nothing can be done, right? But then at the same time, we are coming up with a new tool for timesheet, and this tool is work in progress, but many of the things are already there. So once you change the attitude, then this tool is really going to help you and the management, right? I mean, first and foremost, it will catch and remind the defaulters every day, right? Then the timesheet entry is made very simple and in a more structured way, so that you don't put in the time against a task, or in an inconsistent way. It will be more of a consistent way. Then there is going to be a dashboard and an alerts mechanism for the management in case the number of hours that you have spent is more than the number of hours you are supposed to spend on a particular activity, right? Then we are going to make life simpler for management, that they can take out the reports for the clients very easily, and they can share your timesheet with the clients. Also, there will be a lot of historical data that one can pull out easily, that will help in sending the quotations, right? Also, if the tasks are similar or the projects are similar, for example, a 7-page website for client number one developed by staff number one against a similar type of a website developed by employee number two, staff number two, then we can very easily compare how much time was spent on site number one and site number two. And some of the things are going to be subjective. Not every client is same, not every website is same, but it will give us some idea. If the variation between the two developers is, say, 10%, 25%, probably we'll understand that. But if somebody took like 3 weeks and another person took 6 weeks, we are gonna definitely have an alert. Okay. Now, I explained you why timesheet is important. We explained you how we are going to do it, right? At the same time, we are also going to explain you further that how we are going to make sure that the structure is right? So what is going to happen is that manager will set up client, then projects under the client, and task under every project. That is what the management is going to set up and keep it ready for you. So you will not have a choice of adding a task, right? But if a task is not there, then it is your responsibility to go back and tell the manager to add a task and make sure that it is assigned to you, right? So timesheet, please remember this very clearly. This sentence is very, very important, right? In this whole presentation, timesheet is every employee's responsibility. You cannot blame manager, you cannot blame system, nothing, right? You need to make sure that timesheet is accurate, it is filled in every day, and it is filled in enough, has enough details so that you can figure out what it was even after like few months. All right. So another important thing here is that the time is booked in minutes. All right, minutes, I repeat, minutes. We need to go to that granular level because that is what our clients expect from us, right? So every time you book in a time, make sure that it is in minutes. We are many a times used to writing in hours, and then we write zero point 0.5. So system is going to treat it as 0.5 minutes, right? And it's all going to be incorrect. So all of you need to make sure that the time that you enter, it is in minutes. Then every time, right, you enter the time, make sure that there is a detailed remarks which are also entered along with the number of minutes. Okay, so this is how we are going to do it. All right. Okay. Okay, after that I'm going to show you exactly what we did and how that tool looks like, right? So first of all of you must have already signed up to timesheet.fairshare.tech, and your manager must have added you and approved you already. So there are very few important items in the timesheet application that you need to be aware of, right? First of all, you'll see dashboard, timesheet, and this menu item which has got this sub menu. So this is very important. This might look little bit different when admin sees it and when employee sees it, right? But timesheet is probably the most important if you are staff, and if you are not staff, then to add clients and manage clients and see the reports, also like manage employees, these are the parts which are important, right? So I'm going to explain this from employees point of view. Okay, so if you click on the timesheet, then you are going to see all the tasks which are shown you here, right, which are assigned to you. Okay, now there are few very very important and key things. What happens is there might be many tasks and projects that are assigned to you. You need to be very careful while entering the time. You need to make sure that you have chosen the right client, the right project under it, and the right task under it, right? So this row and these three columns are extremely important. You need to choose it carefully. So for example, in my case, if I am a website designer and not a creatives designer or image designer, then what I'm going to do is that in this search box, I'll simply put web. You can put in anything here. You can also put in the client's name here, for example, and the list below will automatically be filtered, right? So you are going to see this. So most important part that I'm going to show in this particular slide is that you need to make sure that client is correct, project is correct, and the task is correct. Only then you can enter the time, right? Then let's go to the next step. Okay, you'll see that in the right corner in that main page that I've showed you, there is a okay, this that particular part is missing here, but that's fine, right? You'll see that there is something called as go to, right? You make sure that the time, the date that you have entered or you have chosen is correct, right? And for entering today's data, so we are assuming here that you all enter data for today. So you can quickly go to today by clicking on this button. Again, double check that this month is correct, so you don't mistakenly put in the data time for some another month, right? So when you double click on this cell for a particular row which is client, project, task, and the date is correct, if you double click on that, then a small window will open up, and in that window you can put in the time and the remarks and save it. That's it. Once you save it, that number of hours will show up here and the total will also change. Once you see this, then your job is done. Till that point, make sure that you are doing it in a very proper way. All right, so I hope you understood it. Thank you very much.